Hi there, welcome to another episode on Stocks in Focus. Now, today's episode is going to be a little bit unique because we are talking about, not just stocks or ETF, but we're also talking about commodities, right? While it's a Stock in Focus series, I think right now this opportunity that's on the table is presenting to us right now. Doesn't matter today if you are just looking at stocks or today if you're FX, commodities traders, short-term, long-term. I think today's opportunity that I'm sharing with you in this video is going to be relevant to you, right? So whether you're a short-term, long-term trader or investor, I think today's video is going to be super important. And obviously, if you pay attention to the end of this video here, you'll be able to spot on like what are the opportunities, why am I looking at it, and of course, which are some of the levels that you want to keep an eye on. And this trade here again is to me a trade of the year, which means that for the rest of 2021, definitely I'll be putting a lot of emphasis and focus onto this particular instrument. Okay, and of course, I'm not sure if you have catch some of my previous videos. We talk about how the dollar yen has been also one of the trade of the year, and the price of course dollar yen has already shoot up pretty much 60% to 70% towards our target. So with that trade almost done, right now what we are looking up for is another trade of the year opportunity. And right now in this video here, we are talking about gold, GLD. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll show you my screen, walk you through some of my analysis, some thought process, so that you understand, okay, not only knowing that I'm looking at this, but you understand the thought process, the whole system, the analysis that I'm doing, so that you can appreciate why we are looking at it and why we are trading it. So without further ado, I'll show you my screen and walk you through the whole process. Okay, so first off over here, there are a few things that I look into whenever I execute a trade, or even if this is going to be a long-term investment opportunity. I don't just look at the chart, obviously, right? But of course today, in this video here, what we're going to do is we're going to focus mainly on the technical aspect. But what I'll do is I'll walk you through very briefly the macro, the bigger picture perspective. Okay, so I believe if today you're in a financial market, you are already aware that the Federal Reserve, which is the Fed, okay, the central bank of the US, has been in an easing policy, which means that they are lowering interest rate, keeping interest rate low, and at the same time printing money, right? Quantitative easing. And of course, the side effect of that is that the value of the dollar would likely weaken, okay? And being a global reserve currency, if it's devaluing, naturally funds will flow into some other asset to protect, that devaluation. Okay, and this is something that, that's where the macro perspective, and this is something that kind of drives me into looking out for opportunities, in the horizon of, I would say, 1 to 2 years time. Definitely it's not something that's going to happen, in a couple of weeks, okay? So this is something that, from a big picture macro perspective, why I'm focusing on gold, okay? Because I'm seeing that eventually the dollar will weaken, okay? And this is an opportunity that we want to look out for. Okay, so that's from a macro big picture perspective. And in terms of the chart, right, because we are talking about gold, obviously if today you're trading commodities, you are also trading against the dollar, right? Because right now the dollar is still the reserve currency. Okay, so we definitely need to take a look at the dollar index. Okay, the chart of dollar index will give us some confluence, some conviction. We'll take a look, of course, on XAU USD, the chart on this. We'll look at the ETF, GLD, and I'll show you the gold-silver ratio as well. Okay, so let's first start off with understanding the dollar index. Okay, so over here, I'll bring you through the daily chart. Okay, so on the daily chart, what you do see is that obviously since 2020, this has been falling, right? Not surprised because, again, macro fundamental is that when the Fed is printing money, there's more supply of the US dollar floating around in the economy, then pricing of it will drop. Okay. Then what we see is that at the start of this year, we do see the dollar strengthening and of course correcting a little bit. Okay, and this over here from a technical Elliott wave point of view, it's merely just a correction. Okay, and after this correction, looking at it right now, there seems to be a huge possibility that the dollar can continue to weaken. Okay, and the level that I'm personally looking at, minimum target here is around $89.20. Okay, Of course, it doesn't mean that it's definitely going to drop immediately, but it's when the dollar drops, then naturally, if you're looking at commodities like gold, okay, XAU, then gold will rally, okay. Now, the other one, then of course, we'll take a look at gold silver ratio, okay. Not a lot of traders and investors look into it, but basically just is this symbol, this chart here is just comparing the price of gold against the price of silver, right? And you put them together, it's a ratio. So the idea, of course, if gold silver ratio tends to show you that the upside is of a higher probability, which means that in the future, in the near term, gold will rally more than silver, right? Both can rally, but if the gold silver ratio shows you that it's going up, then naturally it's telling us that gold can rally harder than silver. Okay, and if you take a look at this right now over here on the 4-hour time frame, okay, what I'm seeing over here, of course, based on some Elliott wave principle as well, we do see that there's a possibility that gold silver ratio can keep going higher, okay? And of course, that favors, if you're looking at precious metal, at least for the short term, that favors gold compared to silver, okay? Both can rally, but based on this, then, if gold silver ratio shoot up, gold price will actually rally way higher than silver, okay. So again, this is just a very simple technical analysis. You can see the momentum from this low here has pushed up pretty much, and from here it does a correction, okay. And every time I see this pattern, there's a very high possibility this will continue to the upside, okay. So that brings me and of course our attention right now to XAU USD. Okay, so from a daily time frame point of view, again, this is another pattern that it tends to repeat itself over and over again, part of Elliott wave principles and Elliott wave pattern as well. Okay, so what you see over here, of course, from this top, price has started to come down, right? Okay, but this move to the downside is not impulsive. Okay, it's what I call corrective in nature, which means it's coming down but very slow and it's taking a very long time. Okay, so if you actually take a look at the time perspective, this is back in August 2020, and of course this is today's date. Okay, and you can see this is actually pretty long. Okay, that's about, I would say, 6 months or so. Okay, and it's coming down very slow. Okay, so every time I see this pattern here, it suggests that there's a high probability eventually it will reverse and hit higher. Okay, and not only that, of course, you can see right now we have been touching and testing this structure at the bottom for the third time. Usually, magic of 3, that does the work. We do have some Fibonacci coming in as well. Okay, and all this starts to stack up the probability that why I want to keep an eye on gold. Okay, so this is on the daily time frame. Now, if I go down to the 4-hour time frame, you can also see that there's a pattern that I drew in over here. Some of you who are familiar with traditional technical patterns, obviously, you can see that this is what we call a wedge, a diagonal. Okay, and again, such pattern here indicates that the reversal is likely to come. Okay, and in fact, what we actually observe for the earlier part of this week is that gold has in fact started to show some sign of reversal. Okay, and that is what we call an impulsive push, right? Very strong, and it has also broke off this upper structure. Okay, so right now what I'm observing here is that if price were to start to form a correction, this can be that bottom that we want to see, and from there maybe gold will start to rally hard to the upside, right? Impulsive, very fast, okay? And that's what you really want as a trader or investor, right? When you enter a trade in a very short period of time, in the shortest time possible, you start to see the profits that you want. Emotionally, psychologically, that helps, right? It's a very easy way to manage the trade. Okay, so something that I'm keeping an eye on, obviously, there are a few ways you can get involved. You can look out for the Fibonacci retracement over here. You can wait for the breakout. Okay, again, the intention of this video here is not to show you exact entry, okay, because there are just so many ways, okay, and there's no best way. You need to have a proper plan. Okay, so my objective here is not to show you the exact entry and things like that. I think that's not fair to many of the traders out there because again, what I'm using, the method of execution might not fit you. Okay, so I just want to share with you the opportunity. Keep an eye on it. You need to have your own plan to get involved. Okay, now in terms of where or how far this can go, okay, I wanted to bring you back to a little bit in terms of like historically what happened on gold, okay, or more specifically the precious metal, right? Back when the Fed started printing a lot of money during our previous recession. Okay, so of course you should be able to remember what happened in 2008, 2009. Okay, we have the subprime mortgage. Okay, and that's where the previous recession was. The Fed came in, lower interest rate, gone into easing policy, start printing a lot of money, and then what happened on gold later on? You can see from 2008, late 2008, 2009. Okay, gold actually took off and it went up very, very significantly. Okay, now if I were to measure this, just very, very briefly and rough estimate, okay, it went up close to 100%. Okay, just rough estimate from there. Okay, so if we come back to where we are right now over here, okay, so if this were to go 100%, that I think is fantastic. Okay, and of course, if you put in your risk to reward ratio, I think again, why I call this a potential trade of the year, why in 2021 you want to really focus on this opportunity. Okay, so now on the daily scale, obviously for kind of like a shorter term target, okay, you want to keep an eye on this structure here when price reaches somewhere around maybe 1930, okay, or the next target here is somewhere around 2074, which is the previous high. Obviously, if this is gonna go and shoot up, okay, it can easily break that previous high and keep going higher as well. Okay, so you do need to then have a proper plan again to manage your profits, how you're gonna scale out, and if the opportunity arises, you can even look for scale in opportunity. Okay, so for me personally, because this is going to be a long-term investment idea, okay, that I'll be probably holding on to this position for 6 months to a year, because if this is going to go up, it definitely needs time. Okay, so that's why I'm personally looking at GLD, which is a gold ETF. Okay, I'm not looking and trading, I'm not executing my trades on XAU USD, which is a CFD, simply because CFD over here, when you get involved in it, every time you hold overnight, there's a rollover fee, there's a commission charged by the broker. I wouldn't want that, right? Because I'm holding it long term. So I'm looking at GLD specifically. Okay, of course, there are many other ways you can get involved in gold. Okay, you can look at gold mining stocks. That's possible as well. Okay, but to me, the most straightforward one right now is obviously GLD as a gold ETF. Okay, so just a quick one over here. The price chart doesn't look exactly the same, but because GLD tracks gold, okay, more or less the direction are there. Okay, so just to keep you informed on this. Again, this is not meant to be a signal, but I just want to be very transparent and share with you that I'm personally looking to get involved if GLD breaks out of 161.35. Okay, so that's my way of executing a trade. I obviously have my own risk management in place. I have my strategy in place. Okay, again, this is not meant to be a signal, but I just want to be transparent that I'm looking to get involved if GLD breaks above 161.35. Okay, and personally, I feel that this can be another trade of the year. Okay, the previous one was dollar yen. Okay, if you miss it, then don't chase it. Right, I always say don't chase, don't get FOMO, but then focus on the next opportunity that's presented in the market. And right now, it's gold. Okay, so I hope this video here give you some insights into not just a solid opportunity that you want to keep your eye on and focus on it, okay, but at the same time I hope you can see behind the scenes a little bit in terms of the thought process, the analysis process of how we look into the financial market. Okay, and of course, if you enjoyed this, you think that a video like this will be able to benefit and help out fellow traders and investors, do me a favor by pressing the like button on this video. And of course, share it out with your friends in your trading and investing community, right? That would greatly help the whole algorithm on Facebook, and of course also on YouTube, okay, which is you're watching it right now, depending on which platform. That will help the algorithm so that it will reach out to more people, right? And from there, it's just a simple way of paving it forward, okay, and a way of saying thank you, right? So I really appreciate that. And of course, if you're on YouTube, you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure you do that so that whenever I release a video like this, which is most of the time very timely, okay, because the market is always evolving, it's always developing, and I do my very best to shoot out videos that are promptly tune in to what's happening in the market, right? So you make sure you're subscribed to it so that when I release a video, you'll be notified as well. Okay, and last but not least, if you have any questions, you have any suggestions, or any particular thing that you'd like to start a conversation and a discussion, do drop it in the comments below, and I'll look out for them, okay, and reply all the comments myself. So with that, all the best to your trading, okay, and again, I'll be keeping a very close watch on GLD, on gold, okay, and I hope this video here can share this opportunity with you as well. So with that, I'll see you guys in the next episode on Stocks in Focus.